Saturday, Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans. They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Apple Gift Card is a practical gift that unlocks a world of entertainment and fun. You can send it via email or give a physical card to your loved ones. Your friends and family can spend it on their favorite Apple services, including Apple subscriptions. Apple Gift Card can be used to buy all things Apple. Products, accessories, apps, games, movies, TV shows, iCloud Plus, and more. Visit apple.com for details and to send Apple Gift Cards to your friends and family this holiday season.
Welcome back to another edition of The Blue Turf. With me, as always, Eric Bergrud. This is Thad Bell from the Blue Testament for now. All right, Eric, we have a couple of games to talk to, one past, one future. You said the Comets needed to get a point in Milwaukee. They got a point in Milwaukee. You told them what to do. They actually listened this time.
The episode's done. We can go on to other things, Thad. No, sure, would have been helpful if they had won that game, yes. But they battled back being down, and so they showed 2 games in a row in Milwaukee. They can find themselves down by multiple goals and keep crawling their way back. So that is really important to set the stage for the playoffs. And I keep harping on that, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. So that was successful. But they're still going to need to win in the playoffs. So unfortunate for them that they battled back to 8-8 and then lost it in overtime. And we've seen this show more than once already this year.
Yep.
4 overtime losses. You would like to see more wins, but there's a couple benefits in this. First of all, it's absolutely critical to get any point that you can at this point in this season, because now you're playing against all Eastern Conference opponents. So check, they did that. Second, you might recall the first time Milwaukee played in Kansas City this year, Milwaukee took that game to overtime and grabbed a point from the Comets. The Comets have basically grabbed that point back. And so they're kind of even now, which is good for the Comets. And so every game moving forward, you absolutely need to get 3 points at home. You need to get points on the road. 3 would be ideal. 2 would be okay. 1 is satisfactory. 0 doesn't help you at all.
Yeah, and they're putting themselves at least in a decent position in the playoffs. Obviously, they would want to be higher in the standings. 13 games played, 17 points. They're in 3rd place. Above them is Florida, 12 games, 20 points. Milwaukee, 10 games, 21 points. It's probably not likely they're going to catch Milwaukee unless something really goes to crap for Milwaukee or Kansas City just goes on an amazing run. But they're in a good spot where Baltimore and Utica with both 11 games, 13 points and 11 points respectively. As long as Kansas City maintains a good pace, they will stay in that 3rd spot area, I would say. But they have to maintain that pace.
Well, you look at ahead of the schedule, St. Louis, you didn't mention, they're currently in 6th place. That's going to be a big game for both teams coming up on Saturday night. But Kansas City's looking at back-to-backs with Florida Baltimore comes into the schedule pretty soon too. And so all these teams that are kind of clumped together, put Utica aside because the Comets don't play Utica this season, but ultimately Comets can take care of their own destiny, for lack of a better term, by winning not only at Cable Dome Arena, but winning on the road as well.
Or at least snatching points. I'm not even going to say win on the road. Win on the road would be great, but at least taking points.
That critical, totally critical at this juncture.
But yeah, like you said, they're going to face St. Louis a couple times, Florida, I think 3 times.
So St. Louis one more time. That's this week, and then they have games coming up. The next home game is Florida. They've got an at Florida game too, but you're going to see Baltimore coming in the equation. We haven't seen Baltimore yet this season, and still need to finish up with a game at Milwaukee. So actually games both places. There one game in Kansas City that's coming up February it's like the 25th or 26th, whatever that Sunday is, and then one more game there. These are all critical, and you have to think all 3 points at home all the way forward the rest of the season.
With how the Comets came back in this last game, they've done this a couple times now. And we've talked about how they missed players early in the season. They're getting players back, etc. Do you feel like they're rounding into form a little bit? I mean, not what we thought they could be, maybe, but are they on that improvement level?
Well, if you want to revisit some of our themes this year, where are the goals coming from? So because of injuries, player availability, etc., Coach Leo Gibson had to play player Leo Gibson at defender last game. So he kind of took himself out of the target situation, and up stands Rion Marks, who scores 4 goals. And so that's 2 consecutive 4-goal games from your top target forward. That's a really good sign, because you know that midfielders, defenders, the goals are going to be sprinkled in. We're seeing consistency from Ray Lee on that back line scoring. And so they have the pieces there. I think you want to see the consistency of scoring. And we said earlier, you're not going to win too many games scoring only 4 goals per game. And the last several games, they've gotten past that, putting up a lot of points. Problem is, you're not going to win many games giving up 9. And so right. It's a balance as you go on the hunt for goals, not getting countered. I thought that what was really intuitive on the Wynn and Kramer's broadcast for the Wave on Sunday was talking about how both teams want to play transition. Milwaukee wants to counter and score. Kansas City wants to counter and score. Something's got to give, and 17 goals is quite a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. You said Ray Lee is being consistent. He's scored 5 goals, I believe, but it's been in 2 games.
What I mean is, recently the goals
have
ticked up. This is what I meant by that. We're starting to see him getting into space, getting that left foot cranked up, and the last couple of games we've seen Tetsane get into space on his left. We've seen Ray Lee get into the space, and a little bit of free kick trickery from the Comets, where everybody's expecting John Sosa to take a free kick, and they get a little creative, have Lucas Sosa find Ray Lee to the side of the box and drills one home. And so the Comets are trying not to be too predictable on their set pieces. And I think that you're starting to see the results on offense.
You mentioned Rion Marks. He got 4 goals, all of them in the second half. The goal to tie it up, I believe, to take it to overtime. He's a guy who's struggled not being quite back in shape and, having an injury this year. He's looking better each game. Even when he didn't score, he was looking more dangerous. I would say he's getting that consistency now. Having, like you said, you're going to get those goals from midfield and defense, which they've been living on most of this season, or barely surviving on this most of the season. But now you're starting to get them from those forwards and a lot of different places. That obviously opens up more chances for everybody.
I think so too. Regardless of the scoreline, I thought Neto was terrific on Sunday, kept them in the game, and every game it's something you don't expect. Definitely didn't expect what happened to James Togba at Cable Dome Arena. They knew they were going to have to play without him, and they knew they were going to have to make adjustments. It's going to be interesting heading into the St. Louis game, because yet another adjustment. John Sosa on a video review picked up a blue card, and now because of point accumulation, he's suspended for that game. And so he knew he was sitting on the point accumulation line, and ultimately the card was going to come sometime. It came in Milwaukee, and so they'll be without their special teams guru on Saturday night.
You think he got that blue card because he put his head down and charged?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were looking at, so Milwaukee challenged it, right? Whether Huffman actually done an infraction, and I think the referees, if you look at the video, you can't really see much that Huffman did, and that's the decision that they made, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's probably one that neither should have got one, or both should have got one, I guess.
Well, both got them.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right. Speaking of Mr. Huffman and his most quotable phrase now, what'd you think of the Milwaukee fans with all the signs and shirts and banners expressing their love for Kansas City?
So there's been a lot of banter between Kansas City and Milwaukee fans, and some Milwaukee fans are besides themselves because they can't understand why Kansas City fans would object to this.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of differentiation. I think that Kansas City fans on this Sunday believed that the team was endorsing this. The team was passing out signs. Milwaukee fans made it clear, oh, no. This wasn't the team. This was a fan orchestrated effort. So be it, right? One of those signs did make its way onto the field and was displayed by number 9. And ultimately the league will decide whether that's anything or not. But what I've noticed is it's like when you're on the playground and somebody wants to pick a fight with you and you're really not interested and they can't understand why you're acting that way.
Yeah.
There are Milwaukee fans that are like, hey, let's amp this up. And so now you make signs in Kansas City attacking us. And I don't think there's a lot of interest in Kansas City to do that. And I think there's some Milwaukee fans that don't get it. Ultimately, a lot of this involves the longstanding relationship between Comets fans and number 9, Derek Huffman. And the rest of this stuff is just sort of like on the periphery. And so he didn't play in this most recent game at Cable Dome Arena that took down the temperature, I think, of that one quite a bit. I would be very surprised not to see Huffman for the February return match at Cable Dome Arena. How fans choose to react that day will be telling. But as I explained to some Milwaukee fans in one of the online chats, from the team's perspective, from the broadcast perspective, we plan on calling the game and focusing on the game.
Right.
In fact, I think I'll share this with you publicly here, Thad. Our original plan, Nick Vassos and I typically do a spotlight player on each team at the start of the broadcast. We were going to spotlight Huffman, but not in a really derogatory way. It was just going to be what's going to happen here on the field, and he can bring goals, and that was going to be it. He didn't make the trip, and then we wound up deciding safely to pick Ian Bennett, who has now scored in 40 straight games. But the original plan was to say, let's talk about Derek Huffman, but not about this latest controversy, but more focused on what does he bring on the field. He scored 2 goals against the Comets. He loves to play against the Comets. And can Milwaukee leverage that? And should he play this game in February, whether or not we spotlight him at the beginning, that will be our message, is what does Derek Huffman bring to that team that's going to help them win games?
Oh yeah. And I wouldn't really expect anything different from you guys. You're professional at this, and you're not going to try to amp up some rivalry or some non-existent thing or something like that. And there's no doubt Huffman is a quality player. He's talented. He's good. He can score goals. He can defend. He has all that. It's the extra stuff that obviously brings a lot of discontent, hatred, all that
Well, and there's so much back and forth between Kansas City, Milwaukee fans. Well, your player said this, no, your player said that, and ultimately, you're not going to find the original sin because nobody's going to be able to say, well, remember back at the 1991 NPSL game at Municipal Auditorium when so-and-so did. Nobody's going to remember that, but just say that there's animosity between the franchises. I think that's safe to say. But ultimately, the Comets need to focus on playing the game and try to tune out what else is happening. I thought one of the funniest moments of the game on Sunday was a kid behind the bench had the sign but had to turn backwards, and Benji Monreal turns around and tries to correct the kid, so that the message is facing the players and facing the field. So I think that the Comets players took it with a grain of salt and a sense of humor. What the fans choose to do, the fans are going to choose to do.
At the last game when Milwaukee was down here, when Huffman wasn't here, there right after the game, there was a couple of fans that were right on the front row, right in the path where the wave would be going off the field, chanting "Milwaukee sucks, Milwaukee sucks," right? And but wait, one of the wave player looks over at him, and they all crack up laughing. And he comes over and talks to him, gives him a hug. Ian Bennett actually walks over, gives him a hug. They weren't serious. It was all a joke to them. There was no actual animosity. It was just a big joke. It wasn't any hatred.
Right.
So that was just I thought it was a funny little moment. I was actually waiting to see if like there was something going to happen. So I was going to, get a picture of like, player striking a fan or something. No, it was all hugs and love, man.
Well, and if you're just mocking that and saying, well, you say one thing about our team, so we're going to parrot it the other way, that's one thing. But, if you're going to go down that road, be a little bit more creative about it. Don't just copy what's said about you. Find something to take it to a different level, or be a little bit more subtle and cute about it. But
they were laughing about it while they were chanting it. So it was good.
That's good.
All right. Let's see. Anything else we need to cover from the Wave game?
Well, other than they remain in first place, what's been interesting is Florida was in first place, but Milwaukee beat Florida the night before that Milwaukee-Kansas City game in a sort of an interesting end where Florida ran out of time. The ball didn't cross the line before zeros hit on the clock, and Florida's been struggling lately. Florida lost it this weekend. Baltimore lost this weekend. Harrisburg Heat all of a sudden was 1-8. Now they're 3-8, having won back-to-back home games, and everybody's looking at Harrisburg and saying, "Hey, what happened to you?" And rumors about a trade between Florida and Harrisburg all over the place. It has not been confirmed. The only thing that has been confirmed on air by Harrisburg is that they've sent a player to Florida, and that's it. And we haven't heard for what or for whom, but you could probably get in a bunch of the MASL fan groups and figure out who the for whom is. And that'll be interesting to see what impact that has on Florida, both as a team psyche and performance on the field, and conversely Harrisburg, which all of a sudden finds themselves 2 points behind St. Louis, the sixth place team. And so if I'm St. Louis coming into this weekend, that's a good segue, I think, into this weekend, I may be looking behind my shoulder and thinking we need points badly. They went into Mexico last weekend and came back with 0 points. To be fair, most American teams go into Mexico and come back with 0 points. Most recently, Tacoma, Dallas had that. The only team you would expect to walk in there easily and grab points is San Diego. Empire has a couple games coming up this week, but that was a difficult stretch for St. Louis, and now they find themselves 7 points behind the Comets with 2 games in hand. This is the last chance to make up points head-to-head with the Comets. And so you think that they're going to have to pull out something to get points here at Cable Dome Arena.
Yeah, they are under pressure probably as much or more than anybody at this point. This weekend.
But there's an opportunity, Thad. If you think without Togba and without John Sosa, there's not a lot of depth right now at defender. And so the Comets are going to have to adjust. And then it makes it that much more critical that goals are coming from Marks, from Lucas Souza, from Tetsane, from other people, because Leo's most likely forced to play defense, maybe score on a power play, but he's going to have to hold back and play true defense most of the game.
Yeah, which is something he's done quite a few times in his life, actually. Even as good as a forward he is, he spent a couple years at defense on the Comets.
He did. I got into it with a Milwaukee fan. I should stop doing this. So I got into it with a Milwaukee fan during the chat, the Twitch chat on Sunday, who was making fun of Leo's defense. And I'm like, he got into the league as a defender. So
yeah,
that's a fact. You might not like his defense, but he has experience playing it. And there you go.
Yeah, he's got experience playing it. He's played it before. I mean, he played it in outdoor. He played it in indoor. He's wise beyond his years, and there's a lot of years there. But that is perhaps, if he's not at his best as a defender, he hasn't played it regularly, and he is seasoned, to put it nicely.
So the other interesting challenge he has, wearing his multiple hats, is your colleague Mike Kuhn from the Blue Testament pointed out after that Milwaukee game that Leo now has 322 all-time goals in Kansas City. That includes regular season and playoffs, and that puts him 11 behind Kevin Ketters for the all-time record in Kansas City. Makes it a little bit harder to break the record anytime soon if he's on the back line.
Right.
And so if the Comets were looking forward to a Leo watch over the next couple of games, they may need to extend that quite a bit longer than they anticipated.
Yeah, I would actually be pretty surprised he doesn't maybe catch up to that this year, but with his scoring not quite the pace it's been in the past, and then like you said, having to play defense, that will slow it down a wee bit. Let's see. Anything else we've talked about, missing a couple players for the Comets, the ambush needing to get points. We'll probably have Kevin Ellis in town, who is, the other, probably the number 2 villain in Comets' hearts at this point. Anything you expect from them in that regard?
If I were an ambush fan, I would want to see a team playing with desperation. What I mean desperation in a positive way, chasing every ball, trying to get goals in every possible way on power plays, on penalty kills, wherever it comes from. I want to see guys running all across the field. They get continued production from Cristo, who had a hat trick here earlier this season, scored down in Mexico. I caught part of the game at Monterrey, and he looked effective there. Yahic back in the lineup. I think it's just going to be interesting to see what 16 they bring to Kansas City. And they've demonstrated in St. Charles that they can go toe-to-toe with the Comets and beat them. Question is, can they do that at Cable Dom Arena, where they have traditionally struggled?
All right. The other highlight this weekend is the media, celebrity, whatever you want to call it, game at halftime. I will be in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Which team are you on?
I've heard that I'm on Vassos.
Well, hey, that would be the team I would pick to win, not knowing who's on there. I have to go with my broadcast partner. So once again, Team Vassos, Team Serrano, and it's always interesting to see who comes out there to have a good time versus who comes out there to win. And it'll be fun for the fans in the arena to check out a wide range of not only media representatives, but soccer. I guess you call them soccer media. So the traditional media, right?
Yeah. Like
TV, radio, but then the soccer media as well. Put them all together and see what happens.
Yeah, I've not seen the rosters. I've just heard a couple of names, but I know one of my compatriots from the Blue Testament, it should be on my team also, and there might be some on the other team. I don't really know at this point. So
I guess you'll
Hopefully.
have to stay tuned to Comets social media to figure out who your lineups are.
Yeah, that's and when you talk about who goes out to have fun and who goes out to take it seriously, I don't step on the field that I don't take it seriously.
Yep.
So I try to have fun too, but yeah.
Yep. No, it's all about winning, right? Winning
Yeah.
and not embarrassing yourself in front of thousands of people.
I've already done that in my life so many times. It was a sporting media game last year, and I was trying to push my opponent who could run much faster than me at this point in my life. And so I got a little bit overbalanced, ended up doing a little roll, laid flat on the turf at Children's Mercy Park for a couple seconds and absorbed in the laughs, and then got back up and started trying to play again. So
there you go. There you go. I think that's going to be a fun halftime. Critical game for the Comets, because this is a game, at least on paper, you would think they would win, but they absolutely need every point they can get at home. And after they get past St. Louis, first opportunity for us to see Florida. And Florida is a team that started off really, really hot. They were in first place and not going so well recently. Bit of turmoil on the field, off the field, and they need points too if they want to keep up with Milwaukee. But you talked about the Comets being potentially slotted third. There is an opportunity for second here. And if you recall last year, Comets got knocked out by Florida because Florida had a greater seed, and the Comets had to go down there, lost the regular game, and then wound up losing the extra time game. Kansas City would love to have home field advantage against Florida. And so getting a 2 seed rather than a 3 would be a good victory for them this season.
And it is very feasible. Like if they can take care of business in those 3 games against them, that's very feasible. Not easy, but feasible.
Right.
All right. Any last words of wisdom for Kansas City, Milwaukee fans, other than have more fun with the rivalry and chill out a little bit? Don't take too much offense, maybe?
Well, yeah, I'd say from Comets fans, yeah, don't take too much offense. I think from Milwaukee fans, stay in your own lane and don't expect that Kansas City fans are going to act any way you want them to act. Ultimately, every fan base has to figure it out for themselves. And yeah, speaking of fan bases, regardless of what happens on the field, the Comets still lead the league in attendance. And so what is happening in Kansas City seems to be working. Milwaukee's a respectable third, but ultimately you can bring all the signs you want, but signs don't buy tickets. And right. That's what it's all about is you want those seats full.
And no fan base is monolithic, so not everybody in any fan base is going to be one way or the other. And also, Milwaukee should remember Kansas City is not the one that fined Huffman or suspended him for what he said.
Was not indeed. We will get back on Saturday night. Nate Herron, a big shout out to him, public address announcer. He's been busy lately and got a nice handoff during the Chiefs AFC Championship game where Jim Nantz from CBS Sports sent it up to Nate, which is always great to see. He did a snow angel and the confetti on the field at GHE Field at Arrowhead and back for the whole game. I will appreciate it, not having to run up and down like I did last game covering for him, but Nate's terrific and spend a quarter trying to be a PA announcer. You will respect Nate's skills tremendously.
And Comets are not playing during the Super Bowl, right? Have we looked at that schedule?
Yeah, they play Friday night against Florida. Yeah. So I'm kind of peeking ahead. Nobody's playing on Super Bowl Sunday, which I think is smart.
Yeah.
Really smart because indoor leagues in the past have tried to go head to head against the Super Bowl and say, hey, this is our alternative thing. It never turns out well.
No, it does not. That's not wise. It's may not be the same fan bases at all, but for even regular season stuff, but Super Bowl's a different animal altogether. So
well, it's telling there's not even any games in Mexico that day. So take that for what it's worth.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for joining, Eric. We will see you this weekend, and hopefully I won't make too much of a fool of myself again, and we are out.
Have some fun.